So I met Lee a few years back. I'm trying to think. It would have been 2014 or 15. Crew of Cork parade.
Crew of Cork.
Which I came down. I was in New Orleans, and you know, I had been following Lee since Blue Light, Red Light.
Wow.
Came up, and I heard that album. I heard Lee on it, and a couple of those tracks were just out of this world.
Just
Kiss Me is so on that. If I Could Give You More, and you know, this guy was just, so I had not heard, you know, I had a bunch of trumpet players in the past, I feel like, that I loved. Dizzy Gillespie and Louis Armstrong, but they, you know, there's a lot less jazz musicians around to where you're, and there's just less jazz around probably, you know, across the United States in general. So for me to know that someone was around and playing this kind of music and playing like that was super awesome. So I had followed Lee and Harry's band and kind of listened to a bunch of his albums, and remember when your albums came out, and I hadn't been down to New Orleans since I was a kid. I was probably 10. And so I coming back as an adult a few years back, and I don't know, I was looking at some parade and saw the Crew of Cork and didn't know what it was, and just randomly went there. Didn't think I'd get to meet Lee, but I saw him with the band hanging out, and I didn't know because it was a Crew of Cork, so everybody drinks wine just most of the time. So I remember like they were taking all these breaks, and Lee was just hanging out drinking wine and playing up a storm. So we got to chat for a good chunk of that time during the parade. So it was super cool to meet one of my trumpet heroes, and then also find out that he's just like the nicest, sweetest, like humble guy ever. So I was not expecting you to be that nice, and it was an awesome first experience. So I think we ended up hanging out a little while. I saw you at Bombay Club.
Yeah.
That first week I met you, so I saw Lee at the gig later, and we kind of just talked and stuff like that. And I'm trying to think of how I might have had a few too many drinks that night. That we should do a film about you.
I think we all had a few drinks that night. But you know what? That was the brass band was the Cork Poppers brass band, and under the leadership of great New Orleans trombonist Fred Lonzo. And man, it was so for me. Words cannot express how grateful I am for you taking the time and energy to do this for me, to expose me to the masses, and just I'm so flattered, you know, that you chose to do this, you know, and to make the time to do this, because I mean, I feel like you're doing this for me. You might say you're doing this for you, but you're doing this for me. I feel like this is for me, and I feel very special. I'm elated even to just consider the fact that someone is interested enough in my talent and has recognized me as something more than just the average Joe blow your horn. You know? And
for me it was, you know, I think it was for me it was if being a filmmaker and a musician or whatever, but if I was in the 50s and heard, you know, Charlie Parker playing, or if it was the 60s and it was Sonny Rollins or Coltrane and I was a filmmaker, I'd be like, oh, let's try to capture this. So I feel like this is this very cool time in history that you're here and I have access to you, and that I got to capture this little moment in jazz history to add to it. So it's a pleasure for me. So yeah, I consider this totally just a fun to be able to follow around one of my heroes and watch you play and how you interact people and how you run your bands. It's just it's a super cool thing for me to see. So.